everyone, it's Jillian here. Welcome to another episode of Winning Insights, a bonus series of the Ride podcast. This episode is brought to you by Warwick Schiller Attuned Horsemanship. In this 4-part series, Warwick will give quick training tips in each episode that'll help you build a better relationship with your horse. And if you want to learn even more from Warwick, enter our giveaway for a chance to win a free year-long subscription to Warwick Schiller Attuned Horsemanship video library. There will be 3 lucky winners, so check the show notes for details and visit horseandrider.com for more information. Let's get into the episode.
G'day, I'm Warwick Schiller and welcome back to another Winning Insights podcast for Horse and Rider magazine. In this episode of this, I want to talk to you guys about an interaction I had with a horse recently. I was doing a clinic and this lady had a horse and she said he hates to be brushed, absolutely hates to be brushed. And I always find it interesting when someone says my horse hates something. Like I have a video on YouTube that I made 10 years ago of a horse in Australia that absolutely hates to be wormed. And I worked with the horse, and by the end of the video, I could worm the horse. And a lot of people have watched that video and said, my horse used to hate to be wormed, and now he's fine with it. He's still getting wormed, so he didn't hate getting wormed. He hated the way they were going about it. And this horse with the brushing was no different. This horse didn't really like to be brushed too much on his neck, but really didn't like it on his belly. And so I asked, did he have ulcers? And she said that he used to have ulcers and doesn't have ulcers anymore. And a lot of times those horses that have had ulcers and felt, not real good around their tummy when you're brushing it and they pin their ears and tell you about it, a lot of times they can, even when they don't feel bad anymore, they still kind of hold on to that energy that they don't feel good. So how I worked with this horse, and there's 3 steps to this, and it's almost, the first 2 steps are almost backwards to everything we ever taught, especially the first step's almost backwards to everything we've ever taught with horses. And the first step is you stop what you're doing at the first sign of a no. So with this gelding, I walked up to him and I went to brush him on the belly with a brush. And as I went to brush him, he swung his head around and pinned his ears and tried to bite me. So I just took the brush away. And I waited for a bit and then I brushed him again. His head came around. So as his head came around, I stopped. And I did that, a number of times. What that does is that gives them some control over the situation. It tells them that you are listening, that you understand it bothers them, that you have enough empathy to listen to that. It communicates a lot of stuff to the horse, but the big thing they get out of that is they're in control and you're listening. And what I tend to find is once you let those horses know that they're in control and you're listening, a lot of the disagreeable part of them tends to go away. And so after I did that for a while, the second part is what you will do, and it's what they call CAT-H, which is CAT-H. And it actually comes from training with aggressive dogs, and it's in dogs it's called constructional approach training, I think. But they've altered it slightly for horses. But what you do, so the second step is I would start to brush his belly, and as his head swung around, he tried to bite me. The biting's not part of the CAT-H, but what you do with CAT-H is you do something, and when they say, I don't like that, you keep doing it, and when they kind of start to relax a little bit, then you stop. So you reward them for being less concerned about it. And usually this only works very good after you've done that first step. With this horse, he would swing his head around and kind of nip at me. And so when he's nipping at me, I'm still brushing his belly, waiting for him to be a little bit better. But when he nips at me, there's probably 3 things you can do when a horse turns their head around to nip at you. One is to drop the brush and run away. Number 2 is you could be defensive and you could smack him or whatever. Or what I did was I just had a welcoming energy. As his head came around, and I'm brushing his belly, and as his head came around, he went to nip me. I've got my spare hand in front of my body, and as his mouth come to that, I just let him engage with my hand. And my energy is kind of like, hey, how's it going? Oh, you're not liking this very much? Yeah, it's probably a bit hard to put up with after you had ulcers for a while, isn't it? And so I had this this welcoming energy, not a running away energy and not a defensive energy, but just this, hey, how's it going sort of energy. And when he relaxed and his head went back to the front, I would stop brushing. And so I did that for quite a while until I could brush him and his head didn't come around. And then I would just keep brushing him. And by the end, he would stand there completely relaxed while I was brushing him. But so that's how to work through anything like that they're concerned about. The 3 steps. Number 1 is you stop at the first sign of a no. And like I said, that flies in the face of everything a lot of us are taught about horses. Number 2 is you do that cat H approach, which means you stop when they feel slightly better. They don't have to be good, but they have to be less concerned. And then number 3 is just what you normally do. But what was really interesting with this horse was when I started letting him know that I heard his concerns, he started having these big releases. So when horses have been holding tension and trauma for quite a while, when they start having releases, they will have big yawns and they'll roll their third eyelid back and they'll blow out like that and they'll lick and they'll chew and he started doing all of these things. So before I started working on the brushing, he looked like he was a pretty cool sort of a character. Didn't seem like he was real shut down, didn't seem like he was real worried. He was just kind of a middle of the road sort of a horse. But what he told me after I worked on this brushing thing, he's held a great deal of tension and stuff in his body, and he had some really big releases, and it was really, really good to see. But I thought I'd want to share that with you guys because that, my horse hates, insert whatever you want here. I hear that all the time, and for the most part, like with this horse, he didn't hate being brushed. He hated not being listened to. And once he was listened to, he was not too bad with the brushing at all. Actually, he was quite fine with it. He was quite relaxed. So that's something, think about with your horse at home. If there's something you think they hate, they might just hate the fact that you don't listen to them saying this concerns me. So just something for you guys to think about. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Winning Insights podcast for Horse and Rider Magazine.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the Ride Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and please be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow Horse and Rider Magazine on social media and find us at horseandrider.com.
If you guys have any questions or comments, please be sure to hit us up at horseandrider@equinenetwork.com. We want to hear from you guys.
And if you like what you're listening to, be sure to leave us a review on iTunes.